In the top right corner, actually no, you're looking at the bottom left. At the bottom left corner, we have none other than a Puma, the reigning champion from Season 1 and Season 2. The Orange Terran currently 3-0 in his division, first place. Will he be upset by the Red Terran in the top right corner? His name is Bratok from Team FXO, showing great decision-making, crisis management, and poise. We've been very impressed, and we've been saying that Bratok, his results in NASL Season 3 hasn't been reflective of the capabilities that he has as a player. Once again, Bratok, he has a higher win rate in TVT than Puma, and Puma's been traveling to the same tournaments, IEM, Iron Squid, he advanced really far, but all these tournaments that Braddock's been in, Puma's been in also, so you can tell that Braddock is still one of these top foreigners that people always forget.
And it's interesting, too, if you look at the story of Braddock, he was a nobody coming into the scene in StarCraft 1, and all of a sudden there was this little tournament called the TSL, Team Liquid Star, or Team Liquid Star League. There you go. TSL. And
TSL 2?
No, TSL 1.
Oh, TSL 1.
Yeah, you don't even know about
Throwback,
that, right?
man.
And he just shocked everybody. We were like, who is this Terran with low APM? At the time, he had low APM. Now, let me tell you what the APM was back then. He was 170. And that was considered super low. Right? To play Terran at top level, you need to be somewhere around 250, 270 at least. And he came in with 170 APM. Everybody thought he wouldn't last. And he got so far in the TSL, beating such strong players. He made a name for himself there. He's continued it on into StarCraft 2.
Yeah. And just like we were saying, has beaten pretty notable people like Strelok and Thorzane. So showing why he has the chops to hang with the big boys. But for now, we'll see Puma open the exact same way. Now, Braddock, if he clicks the gas, he'll know this, and he won't scout the factory in the top right corner, but if he's diligent with his SCV, he'll see it momentarily.
You'll always know, actually, if it's Refiner first or Barracks first, because you just see the relative timings with your Barracks. If your Barracks finishes considerably earlier, then you know your opponent, well, it's one of two options. Either they went Refinery first, or this is, in fact, their second Barracks, and you have to check for the first Barracks. But with all the money that's been spent, the factory out, he knows for sure. It was Refinery first. That should notify him to actually make that engineering bay a little bit earlier in case there is something like a Banshee.
So we'll see if Puma is able to follow up with better tech play, one-base tech play this game than he did in game number 2. Now, Puma did choose this map, Dual Site. An interesting map for TVT. Again, Andre, we've been saying this all season long. Dual Site, has its potential been reached? You don't think so. What can we expect for TVT on this map?
Okay, TVT on this map is a little bit weird. We always go into positioning time and time again. Yeah. Siege tanks are awesome. If you can get siege tanks into position, they're awesome. The ability to do that is very, very small, though. There's very few builds where you're able to just go across the map and take position like, you know, your opponent is AFK, you know? And I feel like Puma doing a build similar to last game, he might be running into a couple of problems. Now, it looks like Puma is not doing that. He's going for some early aggression.
Like he's doing that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm cool. I probably did it 3 times, and you didn't call me out on it.
But he's doing this early game pressure. I love this against people that go for the wall. He instantly has 2 free supply depots that he will be able to gobble up with his Marine, Hellion, Banshee composition. It's unfortunate for Braddock at this point. He does need to start thinking about getting, I can't believe I'm saying this, a Marauder. Marauders are really important against this style, but we'll see. I'll go into the siege tank thing a little bit later, but let's talk about this battle.
Well, we see that Puma trying to go up the ramp here. The SCV was taking a lot of hits.
Oh, God.
And wow, a good positioning with the Hellions trying to get some extra fire shots onto Braddock, and all of a sudden his supply depot wall doesn't look like a wall for much longer as it drops before he's able to bring any SCVs to the attention. And we see Braddock all of a sudden supply block, so he's going to have a disadvantage in terms of production for the next couple cycles. And the Banshee also arriving. Now keep in mind, Puma was only on 1 gas this time, so he doesn't have Cloak, and he's preparing an expansion. This is the build we thought Puma was going to do, but instead he went for a 1-base play, and Braddock losing a lot of SCVs, but Puma not paying attention to his Banshees once again.
I don't know what Puma was doing there.
Oh, yeah.
Big blunder over here. Yeah. And he's going to fall pretty steeply behind. in that respect. Actually, he's pretty far ahead. I'm going to take that back. 18 workers to 27. He killed a total of 8, and he has gone ahead and expanded. Not only that, he's kept on 1 gas. That's really good because he's able to focus on getting all those minerals, which are important. If your opponent has double gas, but they've just traded in all their units, well, it's very hard for them to get another army that's efficient. Normally, you need a ton of minerals, not gas, so he has a lot of wasted investment into these refineries and these SCVs going into the gas. He's going to have a surplus for so long. So I really feel like Puma is just looking so good. His development of his infrastructure has been a lot more efficient than his opponents.
Yeah, Puma has 7 SCV advantage. Yep, it's flirting between 6 and 7, but with double SCV production from both players, they will be able to ramp up their economies momentarily. We see Puma has also the tech advantage. That's what we've been discussing earlier. One thing going for Braddock, though, he does have the upgrade advantage as per usual. He's been investing a lot into his Marine stim already, about 1/3 complete combat shield already finished, and that very quick +1. Now, we saw this in game number 1, but Puma was able to really take on Braddock's army and really get him out of position while denying the 3rd. And dual sight's not exactly an easy map to defend your 3rd either. So I'm starting to wonder if that's going to come to play also later this game, Andre.
You kind of want map control when you're going to take an expansion rather than trying to just defend your expansions. I think from here, Puma, his options are going to be to just get a couple siege tanks, 3 or 4 is a good amount, and then burst all of your upgrades into your Marines and Marauders, or your ground, your barracks units. And what you're doing is saying, I have an economic advantage. I'm going to utilize that to just stabilize for now. Braddock, I know you have the upgrade advantage, so I'll give that up to you. Just play that defensive role and then burst out with a huge amount of units. You just have a burst of macro with the additional SCVs that you have over your opponent, the position, the fact that you got this command center down much earlier, and then from there, you can just start to contest the map control. But for now, I don't think Puma should be out on the map whatsoever.
Well, Braddock's the one that's out on the map. As you see, a contingency of Marine forces occupying the northwestern watchtower, making sure to cut down any kind of avenues harass, although he does catch sight of this Banshee from Puma trying to poke in. He's trying to spot some things. He has a Viking patrolling in case of any kind of 3rd attempt, but he also, again, wants to cut down on the SCV and get the macro advantage. Braddock hasn't been diligent with his SCV production. He actually fell behind by 12 SCVs at this point. He's really got to keep that up, Andre.
Well, he has lost a couple of them to the Banshees. I do want to mention that, so the extra 4 kills that this Banshee has. Now 5, it looks like, before it finally gets clean. No, Puma will get away from there. So a nice job. Braddock is behind. And look at this. Puma has great positioning over here. He will be able to just parry any attack that comes his way.
He might be content with just picking off this tech lab and then running, but I guess he doesn't even want to stick around too long. Puma currently up very slightly, but his supply advantage is purely in workers at this point. He's keeping that 1 Banshee alive in the top ramp. Keep my eye on it. Don't worry, Andre, in case any kind of poking in. But for now, Braddock still trying to jump ahead in upgrades. +1 armor will finish. Now, Puma did a pretty good job catching up in upgrades in the previous game. Actually, no, in game 1, I believe, where he went double eBay to try to catch Braddock and eventually was able to overtake him. So maybe we'll see that out of Puma soon because he's just sticking on +1, eventually will transition to 2-2. For now, though, he feels comfortable enough to start his 3rd command center.
I think this is incorrect. Starting the 3rd command center has to be done a lot sooner than this because Braddock, Puma has already stabilized. He's not really threatened by anything that Braddock can do in terms of drops, in terms of pushes at the front. So I feel like going for this 3rd base, it's kind of poorly timed. You want to actually gear yourself to defend against your opponent's, push out when they get their 3rd or anything like that. You really want to crush down on that because Marines and Marauders, to kill a mass siege tanks with, of course, other Marines, you need to have that overwhelming advantage with that ground. So get a ton of barracks out. At this point, how many barracks do we have on the field? Looks like only 3, and they all have reactors on it. It's not going to be anywhere near enough. I feel like Puma is just going to push out and overwhelm his opponent. I really don't see a great way for Braddock to take this, but he has map control. Let's see if his counterattacks can buy him enough time.
For now, we see that both players having a unit in place to scout any potential 3rds. And Braddock, I mean, you're just saying that he was also getting his third as well. So both these players eventually see what they want to do, but who will move out and try to deny it? Puma does end up killing out that Marine, which is a pretty good indication to Braddock that he wants to take his third. Now, upgrades are not too far off, actually. We see +2 slightly ahead for Puma, but +1 is lagging behind. So give or take, that could actually just cancel out depending on the timing they choose to attack. But they're now starting to add on more factories, and so they're going to transition to a little bit more tanks in their production.
Yeah, but you can see a clear advantage for Puma and the gas concentration in his army. And it's all because of the opening, of course, as we saw before. Now, Braddock is going to suicide a couple of Marines into all of these units. Unfortunate for those Marines. I like what Braddock is doing, though. Going for the counterattack, trying to force his opponent to just back up. Both these players will be losing each other's command centers, or taking out each other's command centers. Unfortunately for Braddock, though, he's in terrible position.
Oh, he's not in position to defend the natural whatsoever, so he will lose this. And there's a significant concentration of SCVs. You can see that Puma is losing a lot of his natural as well, as that factory just got up and will drop soon thereafter. The Marines and tanks from Puma also working now in the main of Braddock, and his supply advantage is very big. Now, the biggest thing is that Braddock, his army was smaller, so he can't actually confront that of Puma's, and that's why base race ultimately was his choice, but he's losing way too much in his main at this point. Look at how much Puma's has.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Both these players are just caught out of position each, but you know, Puma with that advantage in that early game stage, he's able to just snowball it into a very nice win, and he's doing everything right. He's picking up at his natural, evacuating all the SCVs, and this time around, Frodan, I don't think that the elevator tactics will work. You won't be able to situate in a new base.
Braddock did start a base in the bottom right corner to prevent being revealed, but it's only a matter of time before Puma is able to track everything down and sniff his opponent. And we see that Braddock is so heavily supply blocked that he can't even really make anything if he had any unit or any production buildings. He has an army spaced right outside the natural of Puma, but he can't really even break that front, as Puma's got 5 tanks in position with a lot of Marines ready to defend it, as Puma is going to finish cleaning up the rest of these buildings, going to realize that Braddock hasn't been revealed yet, and will start hunting bases very soon.
Look at that scan directly on top of this command center in the bottom right-hand corner. He's moving on over there. And Braddock, I don't think there's any foreseeable way to actually defend this. Actually, there is no foreseeable way to defend this. There's just so many units. Yeah. He's going to back up all the way with all of his units, but Puma is now unsupply blocked. He's only on one base, though.
Yeah.
Both players are only on one bit now.
And Braddock's going to need metabolic boost or something to get there in time, but the stim from the Marines, as Puma getting into fantastic position. GG. Puma takes game number 3. It takes the series 2-1.
A valiant effort by Braddock. The game number 2 was still one of the best highlights, I think, of the NASL, especially in NASL Season 3. Yeah. I would actually say it's better than any play I've seen in Season 2 and Season 1.
Yeah, really cool and tactical play in game number 2, but in the end, Puma shows that best of 3 is where it's at, because he's able to beat him and consistently play better. And you can see that in the end, decisions just by Puma, very small things, got him ahead.
Exactly. That was a build order win, I want to say. Well, a build order advantage in that beginning stage. Braddock was not able to recover from there. He messed up in the SCV count. Unfortunately, he wasn't making continual SCVs, which you pointed out, Frodan. And from there, Puma just snowballed that into his win. So congratulations to Puma. He's going to take it 2-1.
Thank you so much to the sponsor of this series, Kingston HyperX, for providing lots of memory. Where is that extra M? Memory and SSDs and lots of cool things, especially the SSD for the Sunday Showdown, which will be this Sunday, Idra versus Morrow at the Anthill Pub in Irvine, California. Guys, don't go anywhere. We have so many more StarCraft 2 games ready to prepare for the night. We're just getting started. This is Division 1, week number 4 here at NASL Season 3.